When it comes to Kendrick Lamar, if you're ready to understand why his recent show was suddenly canceled, there's more at play than just a last-minute setback. What we're seeing is something far more concerning within the industry, an effort to undermine the king of rap's image and integrity. This is an important topic, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, from the way the media has downplayed this story to how people have reported on it, it's clear there's an intentional push to distort Kendrick Lamar's reputation. They're trying to spin this tour cancellation into a negative narrative, attaching lies to his name. As I've been saying for some time, there are forces in the industry, powerful higher-ups, who seem unhappy with Kendrick, and they're working behind the scenes to knock him down a notch. Everyone needs to be aware of what's happening, so we don't fall into the trap they're setting, which is essentially to weaken the voice of the leader of rap, the very figure we need representing the culture. Let's set the record straight. Following Kendrick Lamar's historic performance in Mexico, where he played for 65,000 people, he delivered one of the greatest solo shows of his career on the Grand National Tour. That night was a massive success and marked the beginning of the third leg of his tour. The crowd was electric, and no other rapper in the industry, past or present, is performing to audiences of that scale. But then things got strange. The second scheduled show, set for September 27th in Colombia, was abruptly canceled about an hour before Kendrick was supposed to go on stage. The official statement read, "We regret to inform you that due to logistical difficulties from the promoter and the venue, the Grand National Tour show scheduled for tonight has been postponed." The artist was ready to perform. They also expressed understanding for frustration this caused and issued an apology, while the official explanation pointed to logistical problems. The situation clearly runs deeper. Before we examine the real reasons behind the cancellation, we need to address the false narratives being pushed to discredit Kendrick. Some are now questioning his star power, twisting facts, and pretending as if he hasn't consistently sold out stadiums worldwide. One of the biggest claims came from Drake's camp and his fans, who circulated fake seating maps and images of supposedly empty sections of the venue. But let's be logical here. The stadium had capacity of 80,000. Even if Kendrick filled only 70,000 seats, that's still an enormous crowd, and the show would absolutely go on. This is where the difference between Kendrick and Drake becomes clear. Some people listen to music like they're accountants, calculating numbers and social media moments while ignoring the art itself. But Kendrick Lamar isn't Drake. He isn't in this game just to manipulate numbers or inflate his image. For him, it's about something greater. If every seat sells out, that's incredible. If not, it doesn't change his purpose. As an artist and visionary, Kendrick's mission is to share his story and deliver his message to those who are willing to listen. That's the essence of hip-hop. And for those who think that something like Tuesday Slide is what real rap represents, you're missing the point entirely. Let me make this very clear. Kendrick Lamar is not a clout chaser like others in the industry. Whether he has 5 fans or 500 million, his creative approach and level of effort remain the same. This isn't speculation or blind defense. It's proven by his work. Take the Mr. Morale era, for example. That album was deeply personal, not designed for major charts, radio-friendly hits, or quick viral success. It was crafted to tell his story. Compare that with GNX, which had a broader appeal and accessibility, while still carrying depth and intention. From project to project, from tour to tour, Kendrick has shown that his focus is on artistry, not trends. That's why it makes no sense to suggest he would cancel a show for any trivial reason. Let's use some logic here, something that might be hard for some of the so-called cupcake fans. Every other stop on this tour has been a sellout. The only exception was Houston, which still reached 96% capacity, confirmed by both crowd images and official touring data. So, why would Colombia suddenly be different? It doesn't add up. The official statement was clear. The cancellation was due to logistical issues with the promoter and venue, not Kendrick himself. He was ready to perform. Yet, instead of accepting the facts, parts of the media twisted the story, hid the official statement, and tried to frame him as unprofessional or lacking influence. That couldn't be further from the truth. Night after night, we've seen the opposite. Packed arenas and unmatched energy. What's really happening is a shift in how hip-hop is being framed. There seems to be a deliberate effort to to downplay Kendrick's dominance. And let's be honest, the industry has never been comfortable with someone who refuses to play by its rules. While others complain, chase numbers, or stir controversy for attention, Kendrick stands apart, focused solely on his craft. That dominance, that refusal to conform, is exactly why someone would tear him down. The reporting has gone as far as implying the entire tour might be canceled or pushing narratives meant to damage his image. But at the end of the day, what we're really seeing is just how strange the music industry can be. Instead of celebrating the artist carrying the genre on his shoulders, some would rather root against him. With that perspective, let's dig deeper into why the Colombia show was truly canceled. The official explanation, that logistical issues made it impossible to proceed, is, in fact, the truth. Kendrick Lamar was ready to perform, but circumstances with the promoter and venue prevented it. And now, I'll break down exactly what happened. To be honest, when it comes to touring, the further you go beyond the US and Europe, the harder it becomes to pull things off at a professional level. And it's not because the fan base isn't there. Kendrick clearly has massive support everywhere he goes. We all saw the sold-out show he performed just before this cancellation. But if we want to have a real discussion without finger-pointing or spreading lies about Kendrick, then we need to look at the real issue. The challenge comes down to the venues themselves. Once you move into arenas and stadiums outside of regions where professional sports dominate, NFL, NBA, or major league teams, you often lose the kind of infrastructure and regulations that those buildings are required to maintain. Those standards make them reliable for large-scale tours. Without them, things get complicated fast. Now, for elaborate tours like Kendrick Lamar's, or even Tyler, the Creator's, you're dealing with an entirely different level of production. The GNX tour isn't just about a stage and a mic. It's a full-scale, highly technical performance. There's pyro. There's a stage design with the GNX logo rising and dropping in. There are massive props like the giant dice. There's choreography, dancers, moving platforms, and even an entire middle section of the stage that opens up for dramatic effects. You've got risers shooting into the sky when All the Stars plays, an intricate stage layout that requires advanced engineering just to function properly. These are not plug-and-play setups. They demand precision, structural support, and an experienced crew who can execute flawlessly. And the truth is, the Columbia venue simply wasn't equipped for this. Looking at how preparations unfolded on the day of the show, it was clear the setup was messy. The venue's infrastructure wasn't capable of supporting the technical demands of Kendrick's production. And once the team got on site, it became apparent that no matter how hard they tried, the GNX show couldn't be delivered at the standard it had everywhere else on the tour. This isn't speculation. It's something anyone in the live music and touring world understands. I've personally seen massive productions, even in the US, get canceled just hours before showtime because the venue couldn't handle the effects or staging requirements. That's the reality of live music when you're dealing with complex, high-level shows. So when critics ignore this and instead push narratives to tear down Kendrick Lamar, framing him as unprofessional or exaggerating cancellation, it's just not honest. The truth is simple. The venue wasn't prepared for the scale of the production. And that's something even the best teams in the world can't always fix in time. This isn't happening because of personal issues or because the artist is being unprofessional. For real artists who dedicate everything to their craft, cancellations like this are genuinely one of the worst situations imaginable. Quick story time. Last summer, I had a personal experience that really highlights what Kendrick is dealing with. It was during Childish Gambino's Bando Stone run, the New World Tour. An incredible show, by the way, but at one stop, in an arena that wasn't home to an NBA team and didn't have the kind of infrastructure that venues like Madison Square Garden or Barclays Center have, things fell apart. The official statement Gambino released made it clear they couldn't set up the stage and effects safely in that building. And this is crucial. Every element of a show like that depends on the venue being able to handle the weight, power, and complexity of production. Without it, the performance can't go forward. I'm sure this was the same issue Kendrick's team faced. Now, you might be wondering, why not just do the show without all the effects, strip it down to basics, and perform with just a mic and speakers? I get that question, but it's not that simple. For one, There are strict rules from stage operators and safety regulators. If everything isn't fully functional and guaranteed safe, they simply won't allow the performance to move forward. And second, for artists like Childish Gambino, and Kendrick even more so, it's about integrity. These tours take months of planning, design, and rehearsal. They're built to deliver a complete experience, not just a playlist of songs. I remember when Gambino's team had to cancel a show just hours before doors opened. They desperately wanted it to happen, but it wasn't possible. And when I finally did see that tour live, it was mind-blowing, one of the greatest performances I've ever witnessed. That level of detail and artistry is exactly why canceling is such a last resort. The same is true for Kendrick. His shows are not regular rap concerts. This isn't Drake walking back and forth on stage. Then the background vocals carry while the crowd sings along. Kendrick's production is something far greater. Every song is an elaborate plot point with visuals, effects, and storytelling elements that create an immersive, one-of-a-kind experience. From the pyro to the stage design to the narrative breaks, every moment is intentional. It pushes the boundaries of what live entertainment can be, not just in rap, but across all genres. That's what makes the Grand National Tour so powerful, and why fans have been calling it one of the best live experiences they've ever seen. And this is exactly the point. Kendrick shows cannot simply be phoned in. They're too complex, too ambitious, and too meaningful to reduce to a bare-bones setup. Understanding that makes this cancellation make far more sense. The truth is, just the fact that Kendrick Lamar chose to perform in this market, a place most artists avoid for exactly these reasons, already deserves respect. He's not only pushing the boundaries of rap, but also expanding where the genre can go, making it clear that as a face of hip-hop, he's willing to do more than anyone else has ever attempted. So, what can we take away from all of this? On some level, it's obvious that certain people in the industry are not happy with Kendrick Lamar. They're working to frame him negatively, even when the reality is much simpler. This show wasn't canceled because Kendrick is unprofessional or because demand wasn't there. It was canceled because he cares too much about delivering his art at the highest level. He wanted to extend this historic tour to places most artists never even consider, and unfortunately, the logistics didn't hold up. That's exactly why this matters. Kendrick is proving that rap is a universal language, more powerful and far-reaching than ever. And in an industry full of complacency, where too many settle for mediocrity, this is what happens when you strive for greatness. Setbacks come with the territory. As fans, all we can do is continue to support him. Kendrick Lamar is the greatest artist out right now, and it's not even close. Despite everything he has already accomplished, he's still facing challenges within the industry, and he needs the backing of those who understand the bigger picture. Now, on a lighter note, it's interesting to see how this has almost turned into a metaphorical round two between Kendrick and Drake. While Kendrick is on the road redefining live rap shows, Drake seems intent on finding ways to respond. In fact, Drake just announced a special birthday show, which many are saying is his attempt to recreate his own version of Kendrick's pop-out. That's going to be an entertaining one to watch. So if you want to see how Drake's move plays into this rivalry, check out the suggested video.